Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the video. I want to apologize ahead of time if I seem a little bit sluggish in this one. I've had a really long week that I'm wrapping up here, but I still think that it's important to bring you guys this content. So today we're going to be speaking on powerlifting programming for beginner teen lifters. So those of you who are going into your first meet potentially, or you're considering signing up for a meet and you basically want to know how to structure your training and whatnot, leading into that, this is going to be the video for you. But before we get into that, my name is Noah. I am the founder of Get Her Done Fitness, and I made it my mission to help young teenage men get the body of their dreams and gain muscle and confidence. And there are currently a couple seats available in my Teen Transformation Accelerator where I'm helping teenage men do just that, gain insane amounts of muscle and confidence in just 12 weeks. And I'm going to be teaching you everything that I've learned in the past 3 years in gaining 40 pounds of muscle. And I'm confident that I can help you guys. I've been through the ups and downs of it. I've been through it myself. And I'm going to be showing you everything that I learned, and so you won't have to deal with all the road bumps, mistakes, and misinformation that you would otherwise have to deal with if you navigated this by yourself. And so if that sounds interesting to you and you think you might be a good fit for this program, go down below and click that link to book a call with me, and we will see if you are a good fit for that. Hopping into this, powerlifting programming for beginner teen lifters, okay? So hopping right into this, the number one thing that you need to remember with how you set up your training going into your first meet is going to be, you need to have a form of progressive overload, right? Because there's a million different programs you can do. There's a million different ways you can train, okay? But going into my first meet, I understood this fundamentally, and it's really the only way that you can train, because there's a million different training programs or ways to structure your training, but the one thing that has to remain consistent for it to actually work and you to actually put on strength during your training phase is going to be progressive overload, right? And doing more than last week. But how this is going to differ from just normal weight training, where you're just going in, like, you're trying to gain muscle, you're trying to gain size, you're trying to get stronger. So you just go in, you try to do more, you just try to get stronger. But with powerlifting specifically, we're talking about you going in and doing squat, bench, and deadlift as much weight as possible for 1 rep, right? And so we're going to be doing progressive overload, applying progressive overload, but it's going to be with the specificity of squat, bench, and deadlift, and doing a lot of weight for 1 rep, or basically low reps. Like with your training during your phase that's leading up to your powerlifting meet, it's not just going to be a bunch of 1 rep maxes trying to increase that. That's not a very smart way to train, because the strength comes from the volume and the reps that you do, right? Because the more that you do something, the better. And so the more reps you do, the more reps you train, the better you're going to be at that, because we're trying to get you as good as possible at squat, bench, and deadlift. And so basically what this means is when you go into squat, bench, or deadlift, you, in the first part of your training, I would stick to a slightly higher rep range. And so when I first started training for my first meet, I started training in February and the meet was in June. And so I had about 3 or 4 months to train, so I had 3 months or 12 weeks to train. And so what I did in the very beginning was I would go in and I would basically do 5 rep maxes. So how I structured my split was I did squat and bench on Monday, I did deadlift on Tuesday, squat and bench on Wednesday, and then I just did kind of a back and shoulder hypertrophy day on Thursday, and then I did squat and bench on Friday again, and then I had Saturday and Sunday as a rest day. And the reason why I structured my training specifically like that was because squat and bench are my weak point, because my deadlift is relatively strong compared to my squat and bench. Like the squat and bench were the things that I wanted to bring up the most. And so I train that 3 times a week, where I'm giving myself exactly that 48 hours, like the minimum amount, so I can go in and do it as frequently as possible, but not to the point where it's too frequent and I'm not going to be able to recover properly and be able to go in and train hard enough. And so if you have a specific week lift, I would recommend doing that more times a week than the other lifts. And so in the beginning, I would go in, I would do squat and bench for 10 sets of 5 is what I started out with. I pretty much stuck to 10 sets for all the lifts, except for deadlift. I would do like at a maximum like 7, because doing 10 sets of 5 on deadlift is insane. If you've never done rep work with deadlift, you wouldn't understand, but just know that it's torture. And you know, that's not a bad thing when it comes to training, but it gets to the point where you're literally so drained and so weak that if you were like, you can't even do 225, like you can't even do any weight for any reps. Like you go to lift it and it's like your entire back, your entire, you know, your erectors, like everything is just shot. And so anyways, the point is I was doing 10 sets of 5 on squat and bench. And then as the weeks went on, I basically brought that rep range down. And so I was basically trying to do more weight for less reps, right? And so those first couple weeks I was doing like 5 rep sets. And then the next couple weeks I was doing 4 reps, and then 3 reps, and then 2 reps. And then all the way leading up to the peak, I was doing 1 rep, like during my peak week. And for those of you that don't know, your peak week is basically the peak that you hit of your training, and then after that you taper it down going into your meet. So think of it like this: your training goes like this, and then it goes up to here, your peak week, and then it tapers down a little bit until your meet. And so what that allows you to do is it allows you to maximize your training, like, you know, hit that peak, that peak strength where you lift the most, you go the hardest, you kind of assess how much you've built, and then you give yourself like 2 weeks of just really light training, or a lot of recovery, basically, where you're hardly even training at all or just doing light weights. And then you go into the meet totally fresh, totally recovered, but then you still have all that strength that you gained during those previous weeks. And so all the way up to the peak week, you're just going to want to lower those reps, and so you're able to lift more. And so I would also keep a notebook, of course. I've been keeping a workout log or a notebook for well over a year now. Keeping a notebook is really going to help you, because that allows you to very, very easily go back and look at what you did last week. And so if I'm going in to do my bench session and I want to hit 175 for some sets of pause reps, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look, okay, well, last session I did 175 for 3 pause reps, and then I got it for 2 pause reps on the next set, and then I got it for 2 pause reps on the next set, and then I dropped it to 170 and got that for 3 pause reps. And I can kind of look, and I can just look at what I've done, and then I know what I need to do that time or what I need to attempt to get. So then at that point, you know, I would attempt to get that for 4 pause reps, or I would bump the weight up, right? Try to get 180 for 2 pause reps, or maybe even 3 pause reps. Like, just constantly trying to lift more, get stronger, and that just helped you, and that's going to help you to very easily assess that. I hope you guys found this information useful. If you never want to miss a new video, make sure to go down below, click that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Always remember to get it done.